The national experts don't seem to love Syracuse basketball next season, and here's what that should tell you.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Of course, we are always free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And for a full podcast, we're going to talk some Syracuse basketball. We'll discuss what has gone right for the Orange this offseason and what hasn't gone right for Syracuse this offseason. And feel free to comment right now in the comment section below, because we're going to break it all down later on in the show. We're going to start off the podcast talking about ESPN's first 2026 bracketology and where the Orange sit in it. All that and more here on this edition of Locked On Syracuse. But before we get to everything, this episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox, no console needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Syracuse basketball is entering a make or break season. They have not made the NCAA tournament since 2021. We are entering year 3 of the Adrian Autry era. He has not made the tournament in his first 2 seasons. If he makes it this upcoming year, which I think we'll all be happy about if Syracuse returns to the NCAA tournament, we're all rooting for Syracuse, or most of you all who watch and listen are Syracuse fans, but you could be a trolling UConn fan. I don't know. But you get the idea. We want Syracuse to make the tournament, and if they do make the tournament, well, Adrian Autry probably gets at least one more year. So he keeps his job. The other coaches keep their jobs. Naithan George was a big pickup this offseason from Georgia Tech. Well, he's got multiple years of eligibility. If he leads Syracuse to the tournament, perhaps he stays for another year. And the true freshman coming in, you get the idea. Lots of positives if you make the NCAA tournament. But if they miss the NCAA tournament this upcoming season, well, the whole coaching staff is probably fired. And every single player is probably gone. How about that? So this is truly a make or break season for Syracuse basketball. In the first ESPN 2026 bracketology by Joe Lunardi, Syracuse basketball is not in it. They're not even in the first 4 out or the next 4 out. And we'll break it down here later on in this segment. But before we really get into it, I think it's a good time now to start talking about projections. We are in late April. At this point of the offseason, the transfer portal is closed to new entrants. The only players that can enter the transfer portal are grad transfers. That's it. Because they can enter at any time. But as far as underclassmen are concerned, they can no longer enter the portal. And of the players that are still in the portal that are difference makers, they are most likely going to go to schools that are already in the projected tournament field. For example, we saw Sadiq Coward literally yesterday, Monday, April 28th, commit to Duke. So those elite players that remain, they are probably going to go to schools that are already in the tournament field, just like Sadiq Coward and Duke. That's why I think now is a good time to start looking at projections and seeing where Syracuse is at. And predictably, Syracuse basketball did not make ESPN's Joe Lunardi's first bracket. They didn't make the first 4 out. They didn't make the next 4 out. And what that should tell you is this. Syracuse basketball needs to do more. They cannot be done with impactful moves this offseason? Because we're about to talk about it, okay? The national experts don't love Syracuse basketball. Have they gotten better this offseason? Yes. Syracuse basketball, I think, is a better team than what they were last year. But keep in mind, they're also coming off a 13-win regular season. So the question really isn't, have they gotten better? The question is, are they so much better to the point where they are in an NCAA tournament caliber team? You'll notice that I said it was predictable that Syracuse did not make Joe Lunardi's first bracket. The reason why it's predictable is because the other national experts around the country do not like Syracuse this upcoming year. We had a poll Friday earlier this offseason where well over 50% of you all said that Syracuse has a tournament caliber roster. We need to take our orange colored glasses off, okay? Take them off and analyze around the country what's going on. Go look at top 25 lists. If you can find a top 25 list that includes Syracuse, link it right now in the comment section below, because I can't find any where Syracuse is a top 25 team in the country right now. The Rothstein 45. CBS's John Rothstein, who is a college basketball guru, knows everything inside and out. It's not that he's always going to be 100%, but he releases a top 45 daily. And I have not seen Syracuse basketball crack it one time where he has considered them a top 45 team in the country. We obviously mentioned Joe Lunardi not having Syracuse in the bracketology. Bart Torvik projections. Syracuse is ranked 51st in the country, which is actually not that bad. 51 is not too far away from where you need to be an at-large tournament team. It's not terribly far. Like, there is an avenue to grow all the way from 51 into like the top 30-ish of where you got to be an at-large team. They're projected to have a really good offense, 31st in the country, but outside the top 100 in defense. So right now, I'm not projecting Syracuse basketball to make the NCAA tournament, not until they make more moves. And the good news is, we'll talk about it later on in the show, they got 4 open scholarships left, so they can absolutely make more moves, more impactful moves. But when we take our orange colored glasses off and you look around the country of what the experts are saying about Syracuse basketball, that should tell you that this team cannot be done making impactful moves this offseason. They need more. What do you think? Comment in the comments section below. And it's one thing, by the way, when one expert says, oh yeah, they're going to be terrible, but then everyone else says they're going to be great. That's a clear outlier. But when it's universal, when it seems to be consensus, you know what to do. This team needs more. I would rather be wrong and happy than right and sad about Syracuse basketball in its current state. But I want to hear from you in the comments section below. Do you think Syracuse basketball right now is a tournament team? Coming up, we'll talk about the positives of this offseason, what Syracuse has done right. That's coming up next on Locked On Syracuse. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. That's right. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever you would like. And the all-in pricing feature is truly the best because it means No surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you will pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. This is Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. Let's talk about what's gone well for Syracuse basketball this offseason. And I want to hear from you right now in the comments section below. What do you think Syracuse basketball has done well this offseason? I'm going to give you my top 3 things that I think the Orange have gotten right so far. It is, at the time of this recording, April 29th, and hopefully they can continue to make right moves for this upcoming season, which we talked about at the very beginning of the podcast is a make or break season. The number one thing, they retained J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman. This was really the beginning of the offseason for Syracuse basketball. We saw a lot of players leave in the transfer portal. Chris Bell, Elijah Chapamore, Peter Mastorovich, Chance Westry, Kyle Cuff, even the guys who are out of eligibility that are only entering the portal just in case that they get more eligibility. That happened later on in this offseason, though. But of the guys that actually have eligibility left, we saw a lot of guys leave. Actually, everyone except for J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman, because those were the 2 priorities. In order for Syracuse basketball to build an NCAA tournament team, they had to keep them. Period. I cannot envision, or I could not envision at the time, that Syracuse basketball in the portal would be able to build a team that makes the tournament without those 2 players on the roster. Those 2 players a year ago were Syracuse's leading scorers. Are they perfect? Absolutely not. Hence why throughout this offseason, I keep saying this team needs more. They need more. Please, Syracuse basketball, you need to make more moves. You need to make big and better. But it was a good start to the offseason, getting the 2 guys back that you absolutely had to get back. And from there, you were able to build more clearly because you have a nice foundation in place with J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman. Number 2, the big move that Syracuse basketball has really made in this transfer portal cycle and this offseason in general is getting Georgia Tech point guard Naithan George, who's got multiple years of eligibility remaining, which is why I mentioned off the top, if everything goes well this season and they make the NCAA tournament, Naithan George could decide to stay with Syracuse and be a leader in the 2026-27 season. It was a big-time get for Adrian Autry and company. This was a point guard last year at Georgia Tech that averaged over 12 points a game, played nearly 35 minutes a game, and he led the conference in assists per game at 6.5. This is one of the better point guards in the ACC, if not the country. This was a big-time portal addition for Syracuse basketball. This was the type of move that moves the needle in favor of Syracuse. Wherever you had the Orange before they got Nate George, they moved up a tier. So let's say you were really optimistic, and before Naithan George, you already thought they were an NCAA tournament team. Well, guess what? You thought they were even more of a tournament team. They were, instead of maybe your 11 seed bubble team, they're a 7 seed and they're in. You get the idea. Or maybe you thought they were on the bubble. Now you think they're firmly in the field. Or you thought they're not quite on the bubble. Now they're on the bubble, or they're way off the mark. Now they're getting a little bit closer even to the bubble. You get the picture. Naithan George made Syracuse alone a tier better. So it was a big time get for Adrian Autry and Alex Line. That was one of the big things that Syracuse has done so far and what they've done right this offseason. And finally, getting 2 freshmen that are ranked borderline top 30 in the country. Of course, I'm referring to Sadiq White and Kiyan Anthony. Sadiq White is known as one of the best defenders in this high school recruiting cycle, and Kiyan Anthony is known as one of the better pure scorers in this 2025 high school recruiting cycle. The question with Sadiq White and Kiyan Anthony is not how good they will be in 2 to 3 years. Because again, this is a make or break season coming up. How good are they going to be in year 1 as true freshmen? What are their roles going to be? I mean, what do you think? Comment in the comments section below. What do you think the roles are going to be for Sadiq White and Kiyan Anthony? Are they both going to be in the starting lineup? Is at least one of them going to be in the starting lineup? Right now, when I project it out, I don't think either of them are going to be in the starting lineup, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think that shows that there's at least some depth on this team. There's nothing wrong with having good players come off the bench, is what I am trying to say. We ultimately won't know until the games start in November how good these players are going to be. Just my guess from where they are ranked, which is around the top 30s, they'll be pretty good as true freshmen. I'm not putting All-American potential right away. I'm not putting All-ACC potential right away, but I do think they could be solid players in year 1. Kind of a different, split the difference between what Donnie Freeman was as a true freshman and what Elijah Chapel-Moore was as a true freshman. That's what I think. And if everything goes right this season, well, you have them as foundational pieces for 2026 and 2027. So those are the 3 things, in my opinion, that have gone right for Syracuse this offseason. You get back J.J. Starling. You get back Donnie Freeman, your leading scorers from a year ago. You get Naithan George from Georgia Tech. That was a big-time portal ad. And you got 2 top 30 guys in high school, Sadiq White and Kiyan Anthony. Now, coming up, we'll talk about what Syracuse hasn't necessarily done well this offseason and what they can do to improve the roster. That's coming up next on Locked On Syracuse. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into some player props. I mean, the Miami Heat are my favorite team, and they just got shellacked this postseason. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Syracuse basketball has not had a disastrous offseason. I would classify it right now as being okay to pretty good, a B-, because there are things that we talked about earlier this offseason that have gone well. But they are still not projected by most people outside of Syracuse land to be in the NCAA tournament. So that means it has not gone super well this offseason. There are things that they need to improve. The 3 things to me that haven't necessarily gone well for Syracuse so far. The transfer ads besides Naithan George. Now, Syracuse has made 5 portal ads, 4 aside from George from Georgia Tech. The best of them, in my opinion, is Oregon State wing Nate Kings, who, as you all know, if you've been following along this podcast, he can shoot. Shot well over 40% from the 3-point last season at Oregon State. So we're hoping that he can be one of the premier shooters in the ACC. So that's a decent addition. I like it. That's good, getting Nate Kings. But after that, William Kyle from UCLA, Ibrahim Soare from Georgia Tech, and Bryce Zephyr from Montana State. To me, that's just not good enough. You need more outside of those moves. The lack of shooting that Syracuse basketball has gotten so far in the portal, aside from Nate Kings, who is an elite three-point shooter, who is going to be a good shooter from three-point this upcoming season? Donnie Freeman last year was at 33%. JJ Starling has played in college basketball for 3 years now, and he shoots below 30% from the three-point line, 29.6 to be exact. He is not a good outside shooter. I am done with the excuses. I'm happy he's back. He helps Syracuse basketball, but I am done waiting for, is he going to turn it on from outside? 29.6% career three-point. So I am not counting on him improving from beyond the arc. Naithan George. Maybe you do see improvement from beyond the arc because he did get better in year 2 compared to year 1. However, he is only a 33% three-point shooter for his career. And none of the other transfers that Syracuse added can shoot. As far as the freshmen are concerned, maybe Kiyan Anthony, who's known as a scorer, can be a valuable three-point shooter for Syracuse next year. Okay, maybe, perhaps. Luke Fennell, the guard from Australia. Limited sample if you go look at his numbers, but they look promising from three-point land. Okay. Sadiq White, don't think he's known much as a shooter, and Aaron Womack, I don't think is going to see the floor all that much. If he does, I hope he can shoot. So overall, when I look at the shooting on this team, I think, I don't think they're going to be that efficient from the three-point line, which has been the story over the past couple of seasons with Syracuse basketball. And finally, the lack of defense that Syracuse has added. I think the best defender that the Orange added this offseason is not any of their transfers. I actually think it's true freshman Sadiq White, who again is known as one of the best defenders in high school basketball. I think that's where he's going to be most valuable as a true freshman, which is helping this team get stops. But Bart Torvik does not think that Syracuse, it's a projection service, is going to have a good defense outside the top 100 overall. We don't have to rehash everyone that the Orange have added so far this offseason. William Kyle is a great shot blocker, does not necessarily grade well on defense. We'll see who's right, I guess, this season. And the other transfer ads, they don't project to be great defenders either. So overall, I'm not surprised that Syracuse isn't getting a lot of love because they haven't done enough just yet. It is April 29th at the time of this recording. They have 4 open scholarships remaining. So hopefully they can make at least one more highly impactful move. I've basically given up. I mean, I didn't really think it was going to happen anyway, but I have given up on Syracuse adding one of the big fish in the transfer portal. I don't think they're not getting RJ Lewis. They're not getting Jameer Watkins or any of those guys. But can they at least get 1 or 2 more impactful players? Hopefully. And they got time to do it. And they got the spots to do it. As far as what is coming up on Locked On Syracuse in the future, we are still awaiting the official announcement of wide receiver Jonte Cook. He has been crystal balled to go to Syracuse. We've talked about him here on this podcast. The crystal balls are coming from On3, Steve Wiltfong, and Pete Nakos. And so we're just awaiting for that news to become official before we do a full podcast on him. Plus, kind of goes hand in hand with Jonte Cook. Another wide receiver target that Syracuse was going after is FSU's Hakeem Williams. Well, he's now off the board. He went to Colorado. I think that's really setting the stage for Jonte Cook to come to Syracuse. Thank you for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen today. And for your second listen, check out the Locked On Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings, and you can be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Folks, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this podcast, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoy the podcast, be sure to hit subscribe. Tell all your friends about Locked On Syracuse, and I will see you all again soon.